Hold on, hold
Steam
on. It's
going.
starting now.
Uh,
Hey
uh,
guys, this is King UU, but not King of UU.
and
And
this is
this
and this is
is-
Cool
go
Story
ahead, go ahead.
Brobat.
It's cool story, Brobat. Sorry, we keep speaking over each other. um, yeah, why don't you say a little bit about yourself, buddy?
Um, I don't know. I don't got much to really talk about. I
This
just
guy, this guy is a room owner of UU. Probably one of the most OG ones that are remaining. Um,
oh gee.
and he helped breed this guy. So much props to our cool story, Brobat, and we're gonna start checking some stuff out, talking about some tier shifts.
Yeah, fun.
Hmm.
So, how do you feel about the new drops that we had?
Well, how do I feel about the new drops? Put it this way: yesterday, I think over 100 people asked me, "So, Kink, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?" You want to know what I told them?
What?
I told them, "No, I ain't answering any questions about no teardrops until my council figures out what to do."
That was a double negative.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
look
I
at you.
mean,
Join the Grammar Prosy team.
but I kind of like it actually. I didn't really care much for Celebi and Starmie. I didn't really care much for them. I don't know why I have like this weird bias against psychic types. But I can see how they were important in this meta and OU because they check Keldeo and stuff. But
Right.
we got Heracross now. Finally, we got something that actually has some muscle now. We can stop using CB Guts chant and go back to the original, the OG. So I'm real
The funny thing is
enthusiastic
that
about that.
Champ still has its niche in a more powerful close combat. That's the cool thing.
I
Um,
guess, but overall, like Heracross is like still generally better. He has Mega Horn, Stab,
I've
Kill
actually
Psychic.
been trying out an Assault Vest set, and actually, it has more natural speed and more natural special defensive bulk than the Champ does. It actually tanks hits really, really well. You can take on Florges, you can take on Hydreigon, anything
hmm
you can think of. That's a special attacker, that is.
Well, the only thing with AV Heracross is like the bug typing kind of hurts it. I think, like Machamp could take like Chandelure's Fire Blast or something,
Right.
or yeah, and I think that kind of ruins it a little bit. It sounds like an interesting concept. I don't know. How does it beat Florges though? I,
Uh,
I I don't have no calc or nothing.
I mean, it does take a little bit of prediction work, but what was happening on one of my battles last night was I brought in the Heracross. The guy used Protect. He assumed that I was like a band or a Scarf set because there was no leftovers or anything like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I went right away for the knockoff, and I had rocks out. So right away, Florges is down to about 71%. It wasn't fully defensive and decided to Moonblast me. I went for two Mega Horns, and I KO'd it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Well, that's obviously an extreme example, but it's just cool to think that AV can actually give it a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna still probably stick with my Swords Dance, my Choice Band.
Yeah, for sure. I've always been the kind of player that likes giving like bulk a chance. Like I've been trying this like ever since what's it called, bulky Salamence has come back. I've been trying this bulky Hydreigon set with Taunt and Roost, and it's
hmm
really really good dismantling stall.
Yeah, Trevor Ellis has used Taunt Dragon extensively, and I remember in the next best thing a really long time ago, I think a Taunt Roost Dragon set actually did win. I can't remember the specifics though, but it did win. It was a pretty
Yeah.
interesting set.
So a huge shout out to our users in the underused room. Thank you very much for watching.
Shouts to
Uh,
the UU room.
yeah, huge
I
shout
love all you guys. I hate you all to death, but I love you.
out. Pretty much, why don't we start off our conversation regarding Salamence?
All right.
So, what are the cooler things that Salamence left with us before we sent it to the BL dungeon in the last year shift? Was a bulky set. Now, this was actually a set that I adored. Um, it can take on almost all of the new fighting types that have been dropped into the tier, including Heracross. and the set itself is very, very easy to use. So
I do remember some default Salament shenanigans. I remember user Glass Glaceon had used that on his stall team once. I mean, back when Salamence did get BL'd though last time, it was like a completely different rule. I forget why it got BL'd, but like I think Dragon Spam was a bit more prevalent back then.
yeah, it was. Fairies weren't doing the right job, and Aromatice was, a very
Aromatice.
competitive defensive choice for Florida. So people were finding ways to work around it on the special. And um, one of the cool things about this, so if you want to turn your camera towards the stream, Robot, um,
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it.
yeah. So that's actually really really cool. You always want to go for the 240 ADVs to avoid the even number HP for Stealth Rocks
Stealth Rocks, yeah.
and for Roost. Um, if you actually notice, this number hits neutral base 90. After an Intimidate, you're pretty much banking on about 418 defense.
With the 28 speed EVs, you know what I'm saying? Creep Haunch Crow.
Exactly. I actually personally like going for 28 as opposed to 24 because I like speed creepers, but I'm just bad, so
Creepception.
I use Scarf bad, so I'm really, really bad.
Let's not talk about Scarf Bat in this stream, please.
Now, as for this fourth move slot, this is entirely up to you. Some people opt to go for a substitute set with Dragon Tail.
Okay.
Very, very reliable set.
I actually what was I gonna say? I actually haven't seen too many like men's sets. I know it has a lot of potential, and one of the reasons why I got booted last time was because it had like 50,000 sets it could possibly use. But I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in seeing like what the potential is here. I'm assuming that this sub Roost Dragon Tail set you have here is probably going to be definitely used on like stall hazard stacking teams.
Oh, for sure, for sure. In fact, one of the cool things about this men's set is that you can actually, it's very easy to not know which men's you're facing, even if you see the Intimidate, because both Moxie and Intimidate have really, really good offensive value, especially if you're treating men's as a bulky attacker as opposed to a sweeper. Um, One of the interesting things is that with Substitute and with Intimidate, um, unless people are going to be using Ice Punch left, right, and center, no physical attack is going to break that. No status is going to break that because you're going to be faster than most status users in the tier, bar Crobat, right? Even I was actually facing one of these with my max attack Sharbeak Crobat, and after an Intimidate, I hardly even got 32% damage off of the Brave Bird. So that just shows you how good this thing is defensively after it gets an Intimidate off.
Yeah, fat mints is one fat mother. I tell you what.
One fat guy. But let's switch and talk about the offensive set.
Okay, Lumberry. See you going with the Dragon Dance. I see you.
For sure, for sure. This is probably Mensa's staple set. The last move is entirely up to you. I've seen people use Iron Tail. I've seen people use Stone Edge. I've seen people use Zen Headbutt, which is probably a worse choice. I've seen people use Hydro Pump. I've seen people use Fire Blast.
I would probably go with Iron Tail. Like Fire Blast is probably my second best runner option. And that's only if you want to get rid of like Fortress and I guess Chestnut. Mega Aggron maybe. I don't know how much Fire Blast does to it. You probably need Life Orb.
Yeah, you probably do.
But 9 times out of 10, I would probably go with Iron Tail.
Now, I probably have to agree with you. I mean, one of the worst things about Iron Tail is its horrible accuracy, but, I mean, if you are okay with one of your moves being quote-unquote unreliable in that sense, then you'll probably be fine. Let's turn our attention towards the nature for a second.
Okay.
What do you think about the Adamant versus Jolly argument?
I mean, on this, I always like speed because I feel like he's using Dragon Dance. You want him to be able to outpace like Scarf, or at least tie with Scarf base 100s. If you run Dragon Dance and you get a +1, you can still lose to Scarf Hydreigon. That type of thing. I feel like Jolly is probably the much more crucial nature on this set, but I could see Adamant having its merits if you have answers to some of the faster Scarf users. It's just that
I think it's relevant to mention that I do believe you missed out on a couple of notable 2-hit KOs when you switch from Adamant to Jolly. Things like Hippowdon, I believe, can tank a +1 Outrage from a Jolly. whereas from adamant it's a 2-hit KO. But let's just double check that with the calc just to make sure I'm not
Well, I
making that
mean,
up.
well, I mean, unless you're like me and you were using Ice Fang Hippodon, the most you can really worry about is him whirlwinding you. Because I mean, otherwise, I mean, if you have Lumberry, then Toxic's not doing nothing anyway.
Yeah, but then you have to worry about the confused from outrage, which isn't a great situation.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And that was one example. Yeah, I would probably Adamant Salamence if I was running like a bulky Dragon Dance set though. Like I tend to use bulky DD sets occasionally on certain things, so I would probably use Adamant for that to
All
help it
right.
set up more easily.
So +1, 252 attack, Salamence Outrage. Jolly Nature only has a 6.6% chance to 2 KO after leftovers.
But what if you factored in Life Orb though?
Well, Life Orb will definitely take it down, no question. But even in Stealth Orb, for the non-Life Orb, you're looking at about a 57.4 chance to KO. If we take away Stealth Rocks and make this Adamant, all of a sudden that turns into, without Stealth Rocks, an 85.9% chance to 2-hit KO. So the power difference is pretty noticeable, I think.
Yeah.
Relatively noticeable, at the very least. Let's shift discussion a little bit. I think people more or less remember Mence for what it is. We've talked about Hera, we've talked about Mence. Let's talk about Terrakion.
Oh, Terrakion. Terrakion is definitely an interesting case because I mean, he went UU on PO, and people were like, "Oh my God, those guys are stupid." But look at us now.
Yeah, seriously.
And it's an interesting case because I mean, you look at it and objectively, the first thing you're gonna see is this 108 speed stat. This what he's at, like what base 123 attack. You're gonna see that 129 attack. My bad, and excellent bulk all around, offensive typing. It breaks stuff up. So you're gonna be seeing that and objectively think this thing is broken as heck. Why is it here?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's kind of interesting. I think he kind of shakes things up a bit, and that's what I kind of like about him. Like, I feel
Now,
like the meta could kind of adapt to it. I do think he is more on the broken side, but semi checkable. Is that the word I want to use? I don't know.
semi-checkable. Well, do we want our mons to be semi-checkable, or do we want them to be fulfilling a good role but still have the meta being able to work around it? Because okay, I'm just looking at this move pool right now, and listen to this, all right? Listen to this.
I'm listening.
It has Close Combat, Earthquake, Iron Head, Poison Jab, Quick Attack, Rock Polish, Rock Slide, Sacred Sword, Stealth Rock, Substitute Superpower, Swords Dance, Taunt, X Scissor, and Z Headbutt.
Yeah, notable physical moves. Overall, you're probably never going to see an Iron Head or Poison Jab Terrakion.
Yeah, but just thinking about something wacky here. Work with me.
I'm working.
A new player could easily take an Adamant set, right?
You love your Adamant. Okay, I'm listening.
Check this out. Adamant set with Rock Polish.
Uh-huh.
I want you to calc what.
Oh, trust me. Trust me, I know he outspeeds everything. I guarantee you he outspeeds everything. I already know.
That set right there, if you get a Rock Polish off, it outspeeds Scarfbat even. It outspeeds Mian Chao. It outspeeds all base 105s. You could put even a little bit more to make it outspeed 108s. And all of a sudden, you have yourself one of the best sweepers in this entire tier. I think that's scary. But, okay. But what?
This is a big but.
All right.
It's sort of like comparable to Diancie with Rock Polish and OU in that before he does get that setup opportunity to use Rock Polish, which he's going to be forced to use, he still loses to like a ton of offensive Pokemon because not only is he using an Adamant nature, but he has like barely any speed on top of that. And of course the bulk does help it at setting up. But if you're facing like offensive teams that do have like Mian Shao and stuff like freaking I don't even know. I think Crocodile outspeeds this. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure Crocodile does outrun this. So you face those kind of things, it's going to be hard pressed trying to find an opportunity to set up against an offensive team, which is kind of ironic because if you do, you would actually destroy one with that set.
All I'm trying to say is that this thing hits harder than a Rock Polish Rhyperior with Life Orb while retaining some decent bulk on both ends. After you put the 240 It hits 383 HP with base 90. That's going to survive a super effective hit from anything that's not using a choice band item or a life board, like anything that's not boosted.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like that's what I was saying. Like against offensive teams, that's going to be harder because they can have ways to punish Terrakion. His typing is pretty decent and his bulk is good, but at the same time, he does have a plethora of exploitable weaknesses. Like ground and water really suck. Like you put this thing in against a Suicune, I think this set might actually lose to it. I want to say I could be
Well,
wrong.
let's check it out. Let's see how much a close combat does with an adamant. Here, Terrakion.
I'm assuming it's going to do like between like
Adamant, just because
probably like 52% minimum. I'm a guess.
I guess 52% minimum. Well,
Oh, 52% almost maximum.
yeah, that's actually not bad. But hey, after Stealth Rock, 90% chance to 2-hit KO. That ain't bad.
Oh, the thing is though, take all that speed off. I want to see something. Like take the speed off on the Kelp, on Terrakion.
1 second. Oh my god, where am I going?
Oh, 256.
Let's see here. We have him at 16 speed.
Okay, so like,
240.
but if he's at -1 from close combat, a Scald is gonna do like a ton. Not even
That is true.
burn.
This is assuming the Suicune is switching in to absorb the close combat. So let's check a -1. Oops, that's +1. -1. Scald. Guaranteed 2-hit KO.
So for real, you probably could get away with using this kind of a set because the scariest thing about Terrakion and UU, and probably what does make it objectionably broken, is the fact that he's going to just, most of the time, if you don't have a sturdy check to it, it's going to kill something. And you have to sack something just to deal with it, which kind of sucks. That's the one thing you'd hate most about it. And stuff like Machamp's Bullet Punch isn't even a guaranteed 2-hit KO.
That's right, that's right. Well, another thing I'm going to say is that if we're using the argument that one of the things that can check this thing is another thing like Suicune that potentially needs to be discussed whether or not it's broken, and that's a good indication of whether or not Terracon should be in fact tested. Obviously, this is just a projection, but, who knows? Maybe the council will agree with me.
But I want to see him hang around for a bit. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him hang around and see how the meta would handle it before booting it. Because, I mean, we still have stuff like Aquatail, Mega Aerodactyl. I mean, of course, it's not going to beat every set. It's a check. We got Doublade, Cresselia, Alomomola, Suicune, Gligar, etc. And, of course, I'm not saying all those things are just your automatic catch-alls to Terrakion. But I do feel that, maybe this is the chance to see a more offensive UU, so to speak.
I agree, except I'm not entirely sure if Terrakion is part of that image. I think more testing needs to happen. Right now, I'm on the ban end, but I guess I could be convinced if proper arguments are made. Let's turn our attention towards Pinsir for a second and talk about why it was banned.
Pinsir. He's freaking broken. That's why he's banned. It's like the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah.
Freaking aerial late returns and I've seen so many people in the chat say, I let this dude get me down to one Pokemon, and I just started using Pinsir, and then I just somehow won the game.
That happened to me, man. I outplayed this guy completely, let this thing get to a +2, lost. Nothing I could do. Quick attack just hits too hard. But,
Yeah, that's insanity. I mean, plus the offensive stab coverage, ground and flying. Well, I mean, the flying coverage and then the ground / fighting side coverage. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure.
It was too much for the tier to handle. In reality, like
even a basic frustration, earthquake quick attack is enough to dismantle the entire tier.
Like UU is already kind of pressed on flying resists as is, but once it resists its coverage is also a problem. Like Rotom at Heat was probably like the closest you were gonna come to it, and even then he could just like use Mold Breaker Earthquake before Mega Evolving and screw you over.
That base 155 attack is huge. The 105 speed it appreciates. The 120 defense makes it very hard for it to take down physically. Yeah, it's a very good mod, and I'm really, really glad to see Quick Band.
And it's kind of sad because I never got to use it or really face one myself, which I guess isn't so sad because I probably would have got smashed. But yeah, I think it was a very healthy decision to get rid of that thing, and now we can sit down as Pinsir slowly drops and descends the tiers into RU, possibly NU.
I think regular Pinsir might have a chance
At what?
at being like an RU or NU poke.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
He's like Heracross's overshadowed little brother.
yeah,
He's like
pretty much.
Heracross's awkward brother who never got that usable fighting stat, but he got all the extra moves to go with it.
Pretty much. I'm going to avoid talking about regular pincer sets in too much detail because there's a lot of things that left our tier that I totally think we need to talk about, like Jirachi and the new threats that have been popping up because of that, like Mega Aerodactyl.
Yeah, I'm glad Jirachi's gone. Everybody has like a 60% higher chance of winning now. It's kind of sad because the day Jirachi got banned, I woke up and I was like, hey, I'm gonna make a team with like Subsea and Jirachi. I finally got something here. And then it got banned, and I was like, oh. But
Yeah,
that's besides the point.
I completely feel you because I had a 6-set Jirachi analysis that was waiting for a 2 out of 3 check. I had spent 2 hours working on that thing. And it is what it is, right? So,
I had a Raku analysis, but it's whatever. I'm not gonna sweat it. I find it interesting that Raku did rise up to OU. Like, I don't know much about Raku. I do know that it's a good offensive Keldeo check because it outruns it, kills it with Thunderbolt. It's Assault Vest set checks Thunderous pretty well. I don't know too much more about it, but I kind of feel like even though I used Raku pretty often, I feel like I never saw it enough. So it actually kind of surprises me that a lot of people are upset that it's gone.
I actually recently built an entire SPL team revolving around Raikou. It was really, really good. I was really going to abuse the fuck out of it, but oops, I shouldn't have sworn there. But Jirachi and Raikou both left, so I guess there's no harm in showing kind of what this team was all about. It was like my new Volturn of 2015, my Volturn 2.0. So shame I couldn't use it, but who knows? We may be saying, yay, fun new meta. Let's talk about Aerodactyl.
Aerodactyl, the OG, the best Mega, arguably, debatably.
I think you're actually right on that one. I do think it's kind of the best meta right now.
Like, I've been using Aerodactyl since beta. I'm not gonna try to brag about this, but he's always felt like Aerodactyl's always felt like he gets better when things come down. Like most things get worse, or some people stop using some things. Like for instance, Ampharos is actually like close to RU level usage, but Mega Aerodactyl, however, he just gets better. Like for instance, like right now he's checking Heracross, he's checking Salamence, he's checking. Well, he kind of did check Pinsir too before he got booted. One last thing for him to check. But yeah, he's pretty good.
What do you think its best set is?
I don't really think there is a specific best set for Aerodactyl. I honestly feel like it's flexible around your team. I mean, for the most part, you don't really have a ton of variety. I mean, like, you got your Stone Edge, Aerial Ace is, like, somewhat mandatory, not fully. I've seen Home Claw sets. Those are good. Aquatail.
Yeah,
I think Aquatail is, like, a really good move on it right now. Because, like, dude, I forgot what I was trying to say about it. Like,
I think you're really good.
Like it has a high chance of one-hit KO and Terrakion. That's it. It still beats Nido's. Like I think it outgoes even Nidoqueen.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Rotom Heat also if you don't want to risk missing Stone Edge.
I really wish that Adamant was still an option, man, because even at a +2, this thing struggles at killing some of the bulkier threats like Crocoon. Yeah. It would have been nice to see Adamant stick around, but I think all the new base 145s put an end to that.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said though, I mean, its set can be really dependent. Like you can use Stealth Rock, Defog, Home Claws, Earthquake, whatever you want. Like, it's really just more or less based on the team you yourself are using. That's what I like about Aerodactyl. Excuse me. That's what I like about Aerodactyl. He's real flexible.
Now, I'm just going to show you guys a bit of a kind of a piss-off set. You can use this against people to kind of annoy them. The focus here is to actually only make it outspeed Crobat. It doesn't really need anything more than that, as it is going to be like a taunt sort of a taunt rooster defog, more bulky sort of set.
So is this sort of like an anti-Crobat set?
Well, it's more like it's just something I played around with in XYUU, and I think I'm going to try a team with this set. Um, it pretty much stops Stealth Rockers because a lot of ground types like switching into Aerodactyl.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah,
uh,
Taunt was also a solid option on Aerodactyl. Forgot to
yeah, for
mention that.
sure. You don't necessarily have to run defog on it. You could go dual coverage, like in the form of like, Crunch, Aerial Ace, or like something that kind of complements the coverage well, like Earthquake, so you don't get stopped by Steel types and Rock types. But pretty much the point of this thing, and yes, let's not give it as much speed. I think it only needs like
216.
what is it, 100?
You wanna outrun those Skeptiles, bro, and those Beedrills.
I guess you could. I mean, the whole point of the bulkier set is that it still beats those mons one-on-one, despite, well, maybe not superior, but it'll definitely beat Sceptile one-on-one with this spread. Absolutely. Because after Mega Evolves, actually, I can show you the stats after Mega Evolves.
Well, I mean, I know the, yeah.
Oh, to the rest of the community, right?
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
I mean, for the most part, though, this kind of feels like a Crobat set to me, except with instead of passive recovery, you traded for a slightly. Actually, I don't know. Does Tough Claws Aerial Ace hit harder than Brave Bird? I really don't know. I don't feel like trying to calculate that, but it really just reminds me of a Crobat set that more or less is going to catch someone with surprise, except it might have the capability of also covering Steel types.
It has more bulk. It has more speed. That's really what the difference is. And it has no recoil. Um, it has access to both defog and taunt, so you can actually use either or. It's really entirely up to you. Um,
I would be a little worried though because it's not gonna function as good as a fighting check. Like you're not gonna want to switch this thing in on high jump kicks readily.
Definitely
If you
not.
need
Definitely.
to, but
But it doesn't get 2-hit KO'd by banned Entei either. So there are
it gets
pluses, there are
burned.
minuses. Well, it can get burned. But okay, so let's change it up. Let's say Flare Blitz, Choice Scarf, Darmanitan 10. Doesn't get 2-hit KO by that. So that's kind of cool niche. You probably don't even need this much speed. You could probably just afford to go.
You really don't like speed, do you?
Well, I'm providing options for bulkier sets. I don't think that speed is always necessary. Um, no reason. I just like sharp. And yeah, with those stats, it starts hitting really, really hard. You can even avoid giving it any attack whatsoever. Just let it stick to its base attack value. Spread out some bulk between its stats.
Mm-hmm.
Put like a bulkier sort of spread for everything going on there. And all of a sudden, you have something that could probably stick really, really well as a much better Crobat. Because with no investment, it has the same attack, if not higher, than an added set. So,
But overall though, this is going to be more of your. This is going to be more of a set you would come through with if you needed to cover specific things on your team. I feel.
for sure, this is totally a niche set. I'm not even going to try to say it's not.
But this just more or less testifies to the flexibility of Aerodactyl. He
For
might
sure.
be made. He might be made out of rocks. He might be a prehistoric lizard, but he can still do things.
I agree. I agree. You can still do a lot of things. Let's see. What else you got to talk about? Starmie left us. I don't think that's too big of a deal.
Starmie, some people were complaining about Starmie. Bulky Starmie was starting to come up a bit. The first instance of Bulky Starmie making a major, like, what's the word, debut, I guess, was I think on Hot and Cold's Hell team he made that he puts in the sample team threads. I think that one was actually where Bulky Starmie like really started to take off because I actually faced someone else using that team and it did pull in some work. But generally, I kind of still dislike Starmie in general because like I hate offensive sets because it takes 10% of your HP to spin, and if you don't run Life Orb, you're too weak. And if you run a bulky set, then You know, you have decent bulk now, but you're weak as heck. You have longevity and recover. You're still weak as heck. You don't wall things as easily, but it's still a pretty good set nonetheless. And I can see why it was used in OU, especially since Greninja's gone. There's no more like Keldeo's like the only other like major fast offensive water type I can
Yeah,
think
it
of.
is really fast. That's the one thing. But the one thing I noticed is that, I mean, I know Life Orb offensive spin was really popular. I always found that to be really underwhelming in terms of power. Like, oh,
Yeah, it relied more on the ability to hit everything and its coverage and analytic. That's it. Because I mean, if you catch them with a side shot because a Blissey comes in, then it's 2-hit KO'd. But
mhm.
otherwise, it's just gonna sit there and laugh at you.
Yeah, it's a shame that psychic types don't really have a move that's more powerful than psychic or psyshock, and they always have to rely on that sort of really weak 80 base power, 90 base power attacks, as compared to the other types that have their share of like. It's a shame that more Pokemon don't have Psycho Boost. Is what I'm trying to say. It'd be
Psycho
cool to see.
Boost.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to see like an Alakazam with Psycho Boost.
I wouldn't want to see that, man. I mean, that's just absurd.
But
That's
think
just too
about it.
much. That's
I
way
mean,
too much, man. That's a lot of power.
have it. Let's Theoremon here for a second.
Psycho Boost. Man. What you gonna put specs on this too?
Oh, you know it.
So are we gonna like just run straight to the Blissey calc? You know, do like what they did in Gen 4 with Hyper Beam Porygon Z. This 2-hit KO's Blissey.
Dude, Hyper Beam, Porygon Z, OKOs, Umbreon. I'm not even worried. I actually just want to do a calc just for fun. Let's see. Professor. We'll make it standard.
I feel like this is gonna do like 60%, and then the second one's not gonna be strong enough to kill Blissey, and then you're just gonna get pretty disappointed.
Probably. Alakazam. So we can't really pick the exact Pokemon, but we can manipulate the stats.
Yeah.
So let's
I'm actually plugging this in on the calc right now. Let's see. Spec Alakazam with Psycho Boost
I'm just doing.
doesn't really do a lot. Like Focus Blast actually hits harder. It does like 37 to 44% to Blissey, and this is like just max HP. Do you feel the disappointment setting in?
Yeah. That's really. That is nothing. That is nothing at all. Pfft. Well, screw that. And we
Base Darren wants you to know if you can do something about the YouTube live chat. I can't see it.
There's a YouTube live chat?
Yeah. When you're streaming on YouTube, when you're streaming it, there's also a chat on YouTube that people can post in.
Is this it?
I don't know what I don't know.
Where's the live chat?
I don't know. I guess you gotta watch the stream from YouTube. Like you gotta click the link, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna click the link and see what happens. Maybe something meta will happen.
But in the meantime, while he's sorting that out, let's talk about Jirachi's leaving, like how that impacted the metagame, because I think that's a real interesting one.
Oh, whoa. Okay, I see the comments now. Most of them are just saying, oh, they're not going to mute us.
Nice. It's like lobby chat in a little box.
Pretty much one person wants me to mute Helen Keller.
This is why I love you guys. This is why I love you guys. Can you fix it? It's like, hey.
Yeah.
Just ignore the stream chat for now. But Jirachi's leaving. I really do want to talk about that because that is real interesting.
Mm-hmm. Our good friend Jirachi, my poor 6-set analysis. I really hope it comes back just so I can finish that analysis.
No, man, forget that analysis and forget Jirachi, man. He was
forget that analysis. I worked so hard on it. You can't take it away from me.
I mean, Jirachi. The thing about Jirachi, he has so much versatility, but at the same time, I feel it was a waste because most of the time you're gonna see Scarf Jirachi. That was the big boy right there. That's the one everybody was complaining about. That's the thing you saw the most and hated. Next most annoying set though was Subtoxic. That was a brutal set, brutally good dismantling stall.
Yeah.
I dismantled King UU with it, but I'm not gonna talk much about that.
It's okay. You can talk about it.
But you know, like he had a lot of potential, and like you know, even back during like earlier XYUU, like back when the paint core was a thing, you know, I was always preaching about expert about Jirachi with energy ball, iron head mixed, you know, just to break up the core. But at the same time, it's just more points to how versatile Jirachi was, and how good it was. Like it wasn't worth a ban, but you know, I guess I could see it, but I am glad to see it gone because I'm tired of getting flinched to death.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think it's going to do really, really well in OU. I mean, I'm sad to see it go. As one of the, as a really, really prominent user of Volturn, to see Rachi go, especially the Scarf Rachi go, is probably one of the saddest things that could happen to my teams.
Scarf
Um,
Jirachi.
it's,
I just have too many bad memories of like me getting a dude down to like one Pokemon, and then I have like three of them, and he just flinches all three of them successively with Iron Head until they just succumb to it. It was horrible.
it kind of gives it that like sports feel where like you don't really know what's gonna happen. You know, like you have a chance of winning, but you don't really know. I don't know. Jirachi make things fun.
He just flipped coins on you, man. And the thing is, like, the coin had a 60% chance of landing on heads instead of a 50%. It
But it really makes
sucked.
that big of a difference. I mean, look at Scald. Scald feels like 100% sometimes.
Whenever I use it, it feels like zero. But
Is the meta gonna stabilize? You think?
I think the meta will stabilize. I always think the meta game manages to stabilize and adapt. I'm in favor of Heracross definitely coming back. Also, yeah, Maru. I can't say your freaking name correctly. Maru. I do like what he said about Terrakion being overshadowed by Superior Mega Aerodactyl.
Uh,
Superior. Superior is an interesting case. I want to talk about him too.
you know what? A lot of people bring it up. Why not? Let's do it.
Superior, like at first when I seen it, I was thinking this is gonna be like RU material at its finest. But then you know, as I used it myself a bit, and I've played it a bit, and you know, it's kind of like I do like it. He's pretty good. It's very
Yeah,
good.
it's very good.
Like Superior, like a lot of people are saying like this could be like a lot of teams that were using Shaman might be using Superior now. I kind of like Shaman a little bit more for the sake of simply because it could hit steel types. But what am I trying to say here? Just that snowball effect with Leaf Storm is pretty vicious. Like like
Well, I agree with you there. Especially when you have items like Metal Plate that can actually take. Did you actually know that with Metal Plate,
oh, here we go.
its special attack goes as high, if not higher, than a Celebi's Leaf Storm? So
Well,
all
I
of a
mean,
sudden, you have a thing that's hitting as hard as a Celebi with a free Nasty Plot, which is faster than the majority of the tier.
comparison to Celebi, I mean, if I was using a Leaf Storm Celebi, I would probably be using an offensive item on it. And since Celebi has base 100 attack, that would mean it would still hit harder though. Unless you're factoring after the Leaf Storm, then yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, this is probably one of the more common sets for Superior these days. Um, all of the options are Superior are a complete choice of preference and are a complete choice of what your team needs. I mean,
But mainly, you want to
sorry,
use that set right there. That's the main set you're going to be using, I feel.
that's a good one. You could also replace Glare with Taunt.
Yeah, taunt, substitute. I think I've seen a substitute set or synthesis. That's it.
That's the
Synthesis.
set. Substitute, Synthesis, Glare, Taunt. These are all good moves. I have personally been using a leftover set that only outspeeds 90s, but
I'm gonna start calling you anti-speed from now on. Man, you just use bulky everything. My goodness.
I just like it. You know what it is, man. I'm a big fan of exploiting a Pokemon's strengths without necessarily using its core strength. To confuse opponents to kind of get the one matchup edge on top of them, because all of my plays in the past year have been using the same teams, trying to develop the same teams. Now I'm trying to develop strategies that can win one-on-one game situations, like tournament.
So basically, like live a KO that you normally would have died in, and then finish them off.
Exactly, exactly, and use
That
that
stuff,
to my
that
advantage.
stuff kills me. That stuff kills me so
Yeah,
badly.
man. Dude, this thing
But
survives a max power aerial ace. It survives a max power brave bird, and it can do so much. It can cripple.
well, I mean, it survives a brave bird, but you're not gonna do nothing back to it. I mean, the +2 Dragon Pulse after rocks is gonna hurt.
You can get the guaranteed cripple though, and after you get the guaranteed cripple, you can do whatever you want. You can also substitute Dragon Pulse with Giga and by anything you want. I mean, rely on the rest of your team to fill up
See,
that that niche. Crobat hates being paralyzed. Um,
yeah, tell
and
me
not
about it.
and not all teams carry aromatherapy or heal belt. That's
But
just an
see, but see, I kind of don't advocate the mono attacking Superior. Like the one thing that Superior, like the one reason why I see Superior as being stuck in UU and why he's not ever gonna probably go to OU is because he doesn't have that solid coverage. Like if you lose out, like he already is pressed to have like Dragon Pulse and a hidden power of your choice as his coverage. That's literally it. His physical move pool is better. And you take that away from him, and pretty much you're just spamming grass. Like one Sap Sipper Goodra later.
That's true. That's
Real.
true. I mean, that's why you give it the appropriate teammates, right? Two things that can take on any form of Gudra are your own Crobat and your own Umbreon. And you know me, I'm a big fan of those balance cores.
I don't
So,
know, man. I mean, if it's, I wouldn't want to throw no Umbreon at a potential Choice Banded Goodra. It's a good set. Use it,
fair enough.
people.
Now, one of the things that I really, really enjoyed looking at was the Choice Scarf set.
Oh my goodness.
Now, that's
Why?
a menace. And I'll tell
King,
you
why? King, why?
why.
Why do
This
you use Scarf on these things?
dude, just like look at that for a second. Just look at that speed.
Bruh, he has Glare with a Choice Scarf.
Yeah, he does. He totally does. Well, okay, what move are you going to use it instead of Glare?
It's like using Thunder Wave on Scarf Rotom.
Completely disagree.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, like,
You have a Wisp on Scarf Rotom. Scarf Rotom runs Wisp.
it does, but I mean, like, this is like using. The thing I object about this set, I personally object to this. Not just because it's a random Scarf user that you might not see coming, but more or less because of the fact that he's only going to be using Leaf Storm. Dragon Pulse is it sucks, man. Dragon Pulse is titty with no stab. Hidden Power Fire, same deal. Like you can kill a Fortress. You're not really gonna do anything to Aggron or anything else you might run HP Fire for. You're mainly just gonna be snowballing Leaf Storm until things die. I guess it could function as a late game cleaner, but you know what's Tailwind? What's Sticky Web, right? And he still has base 113 speed.
Now, I mean, I think that the best sets to use are probably going to be Life Orb or Metal Plate.
Yeah.
We also have done a superior analysis before, so I'm going to avoid talking about this thing anymore. We have a previous video where we spent like half an hour talking about superior. Very cool mon. Very, very, very cool mon. Might get a suspect test. I hope it stays, but if it's too broken, it's too broken. That's just that.
I think it'll stay. I think if we could let Shaman, we could let Shaman stay. Let Shaman stay. I think we could let Superior stay.
For sure, for sure. Well, I think.
But have you
drops?
Have you analyzed Embor yet? I feel like Embor needs some spotlight right now.
Okay, we can talk about Embor a bit. Why not? Well,
Because like he's heavily overlooked. I mean, okay, I don't think Embor is the best thing ever. I've used it a bit, mainly in RU, but I think he's definitely got some UU potential. Like Ernesto once said, someone just PM me, say Superior Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam Superior, okay.
yeah, so.
But
Superior. That's funny.
But Embor, like Ernesto said in a thread, it's pretty much the closest thing we're gonna have to Victini. To it, like I mean,
no.
reckless wild. I mean, like if you want to compare power output, he actually did post calcs in his thread. Like as far as the damage output is doing, like reckless flare blitz hits like just with the life orb or whatever, hits just a smidge harder than V create with choice band. Wild charge reckless hits a smidge harder than bolt strike. He still has grass knot. The only thing is he doesn't have U-turn. He doesn't have 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100 bulk all around. He doesn't have U-turn. I think I said that already, did I? I don't know. He doesn't have psychic step. Those are notable things, and the bad part about Embor is like he's slow as dirt, but I think he has a lot of potential as like a slow, bulky wall breaker, like just a hole puncher, so to speak.
Well, Scarf set has been pretty popular. Um, I've seen people both use Adamant and Jolly on the Scarf sets. The Adamant's used to outspeed only base 105s, whereas the Jolly's used to outspeed everything up to Alakazam. Um, the notice power is noticeable, though. I also want to respond to your comment about it being like the new Victini. What about Darmanitan, dude? Darmanitan hits harder than a Choice Band Entei when it's scarred.
I mean, Darmanitan hits harder than like everything. So, I mean, that goes without saying. But, I mean, the thing that held Darmanitan back was he relied more on his overwhelming amount of strength rather than, like, his coverage. Like,
Well, that's
Victini,
what. But hold on. That's what Victini did. Victini was either V-Create or U-Turn 90% of the time. Occasionally use Bolt Strike, and if you wanted to get like something off on Slowbro, but normally you're just using V-Create or Chandelure as well.
I mean, there were other Victini sets. There were definitely Life Orb sets, Expert Belt. Don't just say it was just only V-Create and Bolt Strike, man. Victini, one of the big reasons why Victini got lobbed in the first place was because of the fact that this dude could kill your Swampert, he could kill your Rhyperior, he could kill your family with whatever move that was needed to be used.
Yeah, that is true. It was it did have that sort of Jirachi complex where it had so many viable sets.
But I don't lost track of what I was trying to say. But I mean, you wanted to go with the Darmanitan comparison.
I think it's closer to Embor.
I mean, the one thing that held Darmanitan back was that he couldn't he couldn't beat some of his checks just by using cover. Like even though Darmanitan randomly has Grass Knot for God knows whatever reason, he can't really like kill Swampert with that. You can't really kill whatever your fire switching is with that.
Right.
I mean, he does have a lot of strength. But I mean, when I'm thinking about Embor, I'm mainly thinking because he has that extra coverage to be like those bulky waters. Like Adamant Reckless Wild Charge could 2-hit KO Suicune, no rocks required. Like that, for instance. I mean, of course, I've been seeing more Choice Band and Life Orb Darmanitans as of lately, so that does kind of testify that he can just overwhelm his checks by spamming one move. But it's more or less like, that's why I brought out the Victini comparison, and shout out to Ernesto for making it, because I actually didn't even think about it, was because those moves Embor has are similar in power output, and they hurt like heck.
Right. Well, I mean, there are similarities, but I think it's safe to say that Embor probably stands on its own, as does Darmanitan, as does Victini. They're all fire spam users, but each of them uses fire spam in their own unique way, and each of them hits things that the others doesn't hit. So,
yeah.
I mean, what you could really do is compare Embor to Infernape. That'd be
that's a good comparison too, and I'm glad you mentioned Infernape because I forgot about him, and that's kind of sad because I love Infernape.
Infernape's cool. I used to not like him a lot, but after using the lead set and some other cool sets, Choice Band set, it's pretty neat. I like it. Good coverage, U-turn, Mach Punch, it's decent. Has a very good special set as well. Yeah. Yep.
You said everything I could have possibly said.
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably a good place to probably end our cast.
All right.
I'd love to get you on again to do some laddering. We could probably do a laddering session over the next few days, maybe a week or so.
Oh yeah, in about a week or so. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, for those of you guys who do watch my channel, you know what kind of bullcrap I get into when I ladder.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you tell the people here what your channel is so they can check it out if they want to?
My YouTube channel is youtube.com/CoolStoryBrobat. It's spelled the exact same way as on here. And
now, I like this guy, so make sure you check his stuff out. Very, very cool content. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we really, really hope that come join our next podcasts. And yeah, here's to many, many more, because I'm having a wonderful time. Ciao.
Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and favorite. Peace.
Bye-bye.